Hello and welcome to the Savvy Frugal Vegan podcast. I'm your host, Heather Zeitzwolfe. We are going to explore ways to infuse veganism into your lifestyle without blowing your budget. If you are a longtime vegan like me or starting out and simply veg curious, this podcast is going to have something for you, like vegan-friendly travel, delicious plant-based meals, and ways to run an ethical business on a budget. Grab your headphones and let's get vegan. Today's show is the top 10 secret hacks of Google. We are featuring my good friend and fellow vegan, Bobby Deetz from digitaldeetz.com. Bobby is a tech guru, tech expert on all things Mac, like Mac computers, and Google, amongst other things. Today we are concentrating on Google. Oh my God, there's just so much about Google to know. Yes, everything is Google. Google this, Google that. Who knew that we were going to say the word Google so much? But we go into way more than 10 things. And in fact, we had so many tips and tricks and discussions around Google that you can catch the entire thing on the live YouTube version of the podcast under my live videos at the Savvy Frugal Vegan YouTube channel. So this is the condensed version, and I give you all the little juicy highlights. But if you are a tech freak and you are like, I want to get freaky with some more tips, well then please listen to that full version. Are you ready? Grab your computer, your laptop, log into your Google account, and if you got more than one Google account, well, welcome to the club. We talk about that too. And you are going to learn some tips and tricks that you are not going to want to forget. Grab some screenshots, grab a piece of paper. Let's get to it. I'm here with my very great friend and fellow vegan, Bobby Deetz.
Thank you so much for having me.
You know so much about Google, and Google has Gmail, they have Chrome, you can have plugins, there's Google My Business. Google is part of our nomenclature now.
It's definitely in our ecosystem.
Bobby, we should introduce you. The wonderful Bobby Deetz of Digital Deetz. You are a tech coach that Google is part of your specialty, right?
Yes, exactly. And I help solopreneurs and creatives and small business owners to use their technology more effectively and efficiently so that the tech challenges can get out of the way and they can focus on their mission.
I love that. And you're very patient with people, and you need that when someone is helping you with technology. For some of us, it comes very easy, but for people that are new to it, it can be overwhelming, especially when you have several Google accounts like I do. And then I'm like, where the heck am I? Let's start with Gmail.
Okay, as we're walking through this, I am showing a free personal Gmail account, which is also a demo account. This isn't a real business account for me or anything. I also may get into the Google Workspace for Business Gmail account. The two are very similar. The majority of the features are available both on the free and the business, but of course there are some very significant differences as well.
Just to back up, people can just start a Gmail account and they just have like their name and then at gmail.com. And then there's people like me who have business accounts where it has my URL is in the .com name. You can have either one, and then it can be complicated. Just want to put that out there.
So I've got way more than 10 tips, but I have highlighted a few things, just little things that you may or may not know about, because as you were saying, one thing about technology is it doesn't invite you to necessarily know what you don't know. So you don't even know the question to ask. And most of us can just get by. We use our technologies as needed on a daily basis. But unless we're like total nerds like us, we may not dig in to learn those little tips and tricks until we see somebody else do it or somebody else shows us. That's how I learn often, is I'm sitting with a client, they're doing something and I'm like, wait, I didn't know you could do it that way. And then I just add it to my own knowledge base. One thing I wanted to show was the snooze feature. there. If you don't see a snooze on the left sidebar, it may be hiding under your more section there. But snooze, let's talk about how to snooze and why you would snooze. I don't strive to have my inbox be completely empty all the time. I would like this number here to be much smaller than this, generally speaking. Like, I want my inbox to be those hot things that I need to deal with today or this week and nothing more. And I like to keep things up at the top that I'm working on right now. I may want to read about this email later. I don't want it staring me in the face right now. I'm going to hover over it. And when you hover, there's so many things that happen with Gmail and Google Apps in general when you hover that you have to slow down to see. So I'm going to hover here. And when I do that, I come over here to the snooze button. I'm going to be able to say, take this email away. I don't want to see it right now. Let's have it come back tomorrow morning. It's a Sunday. Maybe I have time to read newsletters then. I'm going to just click on that. It disappears from my inbox. I feel a little calmer. I don't have to see so much email because I'm just seeing the ones that I need to deal with. Tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., that email is going to come back into my inbox as if it's brand new. This is extremely helpful for those that use their inbox as their to-do list. Just snooze it, have it come back later. If you're like, wait a minute, I snoozed something, but now I want to look at it earlier, you can just always go over to the sidebar under snoozed and you can find that email there. I will move to schedule send. Let's say I'm composing a message. I'm going to send this to Heather, and we are going to test the schedule send. I could just send it like I normally would, and she's going to get it right now. But if you're like me, sometimes you're up at 11 p.m., 11:30 p.m., still working. That's a little embarrassing to be sending email at that time. So I like to pretend, no, I don't do work at 11:30 p.m. I'm going to schedule this send for tomorrow morning at 8. Then I look like an early riser. I just get up at 8 and I start sending my emails. I'm going to click on tomorrow at 8. And of course, I can pick another time. I could even send this in a couple weeks at a particular time. But I'm going to go ahead and schedule this for an hour from now. I can come over to my left sidebar, just like the snoozed emails, if I need to see what do I have scheduled to send later today or tomorrow, whenever I chose to send it. I'm a big advocate for using Gmail in the browser where it's meant to be. Then you're just talking directly to the Google server. If you're in Chrome, that's a Google product. So you're all in the Google ecosystem at the same time. Here's the big send, schedule send right here in the browser.
Oh, it's so easy. That's a great tip. What else you got for Gmail?
If you are using Gmail in the browser, which is what I recommend, not everyone knows or understands really where the inbox is and what the archive means. This is an extremely important concept to understand as you're getting more robust with managing your email, especially in your inbox, especially if you're going towards that goal I said of keeping your email down to a smaller number in your inbox. A lot of people just leave everything in their inbox. And so this may look like a horrifying number of 5,000 or something like that. And remember, this is only your unread. I'm just looking at my unread messages. If I look over here, I'm going to see that I have 389 messages in my inbox. And some people, it's pretty common for my clients to have 50, 70,000 emails in their inbox because they've never really deleted or archived that email. If you click this more on the side here, you're going to see a label called all mail. And if I go to all mail, I'm now seeing all my email. That's the true count of how much email you have. Is 5,951 in my case here in my demo account. I wanted to talk about the concept of email in 5 places. Now, I'm not going to talk about spam or sent or trash, just the 2 really important places that your email is physically sitting. Think of it as if I had an email printed out on a piece of paper and I filed it in one of 2 places. It's either going to be in my inbox or it's going to be archived. One of those 2 places. Inbox is just a label. It's literally just a little tag that has been attached to an email called inbox. And as soon as I remove that tag by archiving that email, it's now down in the archive. Now, there's no way to see just your archive, which I always find really interesting. There's only a way to see all your email, which is a combination of what's in your inbox and what's in your archive. People get afraid of archiving things, partly because they think it's going to be lost, they're not going to be able to find it, or because the word archive is a little bit of a misnomer. I think of archive as like, I'm done with it for now, I'm going to put it in a box and put it in my basement. Maybe someday I'll dig around in it. Really, what archive means here is it's just not in my inbox. So when you have an email here, let's say I open this nice email from you, I archive it. So I'm going to click this button to archive it. It's not gone. In fact, I can just go to all mail here and I'm going to see this email from you sitting right here. If I was in my inbox up here and I searched for emails from Heather, it's going to pop up right there too. So when I do a search, it's going to search both the inbox and the archive. And I think that's a really important concept to start thinking about when you're working with Gmail in the browser. It's very different than working with a client-based application where you have email in your inbox and then you have local folders and you file emails into folders, and then that's where they are locally.
I have a bunch of different Gmail accounts. If there's one that I'm getting rid of, I'm not going to pay anymore. Will those emails still exist, or
Gotcha.
will I have to keep paying Gmail to have access to them?
If you're using a client-based application like MacMail or Thunderbird or Outlook, and you have put your email into a local folder, you could cut off that service and you would have a local archive of that email, no longer functioning. If you're just using it in the browser and you get rid of your account, you're not going to have access anymore. I still would strongly recommend that you use Gmail in the browser. I see more and more clients have trouble with their MacMail, checking all these Google accounts when the numbers get really high. You get into 70,000, 100,000 emails, you'll start to have issues. If someone was telling me, hey, I'm going to be shutting down my business and I want to archive my email, I'd say, great, let's get Thunderbird for you. We're going to locally download all your mail, back it up before you shut that service off, just to keep it as an actual archive.
When you do have multiple accounts, I have them all feeding into one. I actually see all of my email into one account.
I have subjective feelings about this.
What I've done is gone into Gmail and said that I want all my email to be forwarded to this one Gmail address.
That is one way to manage it. I'm guessing and assuming that you have several signatures then, and every time you go to email something, respond to somebody, you choose the appropriate signature. That's one way to manage it. If I was working with you and figuring out your working style and how you want to work, maybe that works best for you. I'm a strong advocate for using different Chrome profiles for each of your online personalities, because you can have separate bookmarks, separate extensions, you can have a different theme, color, you've got different labels. In your case, Heather, you've got so many accounts that do similar things. Your situation might make more sense. I'm really into saying, hey, if this is a personal account, let's have a different Chrome profile for you with different bookmarks, different extensions, different email, separate from your work-related profile. That depends on your need.
What else for Gmail before we move on to Chrome?
Two other little things. I do want to mention the power of labels and the power of filters. I'm going to have a label called Heather, and I'm going to create that. A label here. I can take this email and I can drag it into this label, or I could open it up and I could label it Heather. When I come down here, I quickly see all the email from you. This email could still be in the inbox, certainly, but it's going to have that label on it. But the magic is, how can I automatically label all the emails from you? My favorite way is to open an email, something you get regularly, like emails from Heather. I go to filter messages like these. I could just search. There's a whole lot of advanced things I can do, but in this case, I'm going to create a filter. Look at all these options. A filter is something that happens automatically. My business email has labels on almost every single email that comes in, colorful labels. That's a good indicator for me because I'm visual. This is a great way to organize your email. Of course, I don't want to skip the inbox in this case because I don't want to miss a single email from Heather, but there might be some subscriptions to things that are important to me and I want to visit them again on Sundays, but I don't want to see them every day in my inbox. So I might click that. But in this case, I'm going to apply the label Heather that I just created. I'm going to click never send it to spam, which also helps your reputation because I'm telling Google, hey, never send this email from Heather to spam. I'm going to mark it as important. That's another way to organize your email in Google. I'm going to say, hey, go back in history, find all the emails from Heather at savvyfrugalvegan.com and apply the label for me. So I don't even have to do it. I'm going to create that filter. And when you do that, sometimes it sits here and looks like nothing's happening. I just click back to the inbox and then it tells me my filter was created. And I can go to Heather now. I see all the emails from you. And when I'm in my inbox, I get to see that nice colorful label showing up on all the emails from Heather. And now if you were to email me again, it would automatically label it.
Very cool. You're giving us super tips, but to remember all of these things, where you click and do all this stuff. So if someone wanted to schedule time with you and they're like, whoa, okay, these are really cool things Bobby's showing me, but I can't remember all this. And what am I supposed to do? Watch this video like 500 times. They can hire you to help them with this type of stuff. So what are some of the ways that you help people? Is it like by the hour? Do you have group programs? Talk to me, Bobby. What are your services?
Thank you. Yes, I work one-on-one with folks as well as through programs. I have a little starter package. If you're not quite sure, you just sign up for 3 hours with me. We set a goal, usually just for one tool in that case, and we tackle it together. A lot of my clients do a VIP package. We work together for about 3 months. It's a little bit like tech therapy. We meet every week or every other week. We set a curriculum. We set goals. What do you want to tackle either in your business or around your creative projects? And then we just have a plan each week, and you actually have homework you get to do to not only practice the new skills, organizing, cleaning out your files, your digital assets, your photos, your email, whatever it might be. And we can check in as things go so that we are able to actually reach your goals in the end. So I do a lot of classes, and we have Gmail All-Stars. That's probably one of my most favorites. And we have like Messy Mac Makeover, where we just dive into the Mac computer and organize your digital assets and do delete retreats and stuff.
Bobby is very patient, no judgment. So if you are a hot mess when it comes to your technology, don't worry, Bobby's seen it all. Hire Bobby to help you. Should we keep going with Gmail? Oh, templates. Okay, yes.
Okay. We often, especially if we have a business, we often type the same content over and over when we're sending an email. There's a quick way to have templates in your Gmail so you don't have to do that. Saves lots of time. The first step, though, is to enable this, because this is not enabled in your account by default. So we're going to go to settings. We're going to go to see all settings. And then you're going to be in this very overwhelming space, which, by the way, I always like to say, if you just spend 20 minutes literally reading through all the settings, you will not only learn what Gmail can do, but you will learn what you have control over. So it's just take 20 minutes and read through the settings. And we're going to go to advanced. These are little tabs. It's not obvious, but we're going to go to advanced right here. And we're going to say, let's enable the templates. So we have to enable this feature before we can use it. And we're going to do save changes. To create a template, super easy, you create the email that you want to be sending over and over again. And I already came up with content here, so I'm going to paste it in. I'm going to call this free strategy session invitation. You have to title it by putting the title in the subject. You can see where I've left little spots for myself to add the person's name, they've said, I need help with my Gmail, so I can say, I can help you with your Gmail. So I'm repeating some of that back, and I've got a link to my appointment calendar because I don't want to go find all this every single time. Now, really important tip if you're using this, I have this really nice signature showing here. It will be included in my template. So what's funny, this is a little funky thing. Because I have this signature automatically, if I include it in my template, it's going to be duplicated when I use the template. I actually have to delete my signature before I save my template. Now, the way I save the template is I go down and I find these 3 little dots down here, and I go templates, which is now available because I turned it on, and I'm going to say save draft. This is a very weird interface. You can see how I'm coming over here and I'm saying save template, and of course I already put a subject in there, so that's my title. I'm just going to delete this email so I can start fresh. I want to let them know that they can get a free strategy session with me. I'm going to come down again to the 3 dots, and I'm going to go to templates, and I'm going to insert that template I just created, and boom, I'm ready to go with my email, and I don't have to retype that.
I love that. Yeah, I keep all of my stuff in a Google Doc, and then I copy and paste it, but that's less of a step. Let's move on to Chrome. Chrome is a browser. You've got Explorer, Firefox, Safari, and then we got Chrome, which is owned by Google. I find a lot of programs work best in Chrome, but some programs I cannot get to work in Chrome, and I have to use Safari. It's always good to have some other browser available to you because sometimes things don't work.
Great. We are in the Chrome browser, and I'm just going to show you a couple of quick little tips that I use throughout the day. Let's say I've got these 2 tabs open right now. This blank space here where I don't have any tabs at all, if I double click, it fills the screen without going into full screen mode. Full screen mode, which is if we went like like this. Now I've lost my dock that's at the bottom. I've lost my menu at the top. I don't like it that much. What I love is the double click. I can resize this window however I want it. Say this is how I want it when I'm on a Zoom call because I'm multitasking. I've got the people on the right and I've got the screen on the left where I'm taking notes. So this is my kind of standard. But now I want to fill the screen without going into full screen mode is just a double click in this empty space and it will toggle back and forth from where I keep it. I use it all day long.
Bobby, before we went on, I discovered a new secret that you told me about muting your tab.
Oh,
Tell us
yes.
about that. That is amazing. I had no idea about this.
Oh, sure. So when you've got a tab up here, which might be relevant for YouTube, for example, or if you go to a news channel like CNN or something and a random video is playing and it's really loud and you don't know why, you can right click on a tab and you can mute the site. You're not going to hear anything and you're not going to get pop-up notifications for that site. Now you do have to remember to unmute it.
Another thing that you taught me, you can generate a QR code in Chrome. Can you show how to do that? It's a really cool QR code that's got a little T-Rex in the middle.
If you go up to the upper right of your browser and you find the 3 dots, and then you come down to save and share, I can create a QR code. Another little teeny tip that's super helpful throughout the day is when I'm working with folks, I see a lot of this. I need to go to my other windows. So I'm going to go here and I got to get, there's another window. And then, I'm here and I got this other window. And they're just all day like moving windows around like this. I want to show you a keyboard shortcut. If you hold down Command, this is on a Mac, okay, I think it's Alt on a PC. If you hold down Command, hit the little tilde mark, you will be able to flip back and forth between your Chrome profile windows. Instead of moving all your windows around, teach yourself how to just flip back and forth between your different Chrome windows using that shortcut. Super helpful. That's a good one, right?
It is a good one.
I do want to talk about this whole issue of having more than one Google account. Almost all of us that use Google at all have more than one Google account. And Heather has like what, 14?
5 maybe, something like that.
I have quite a few. If you come up here to your Chrome profile, the top picture, it could be a picture of you. It could be an initial that matches your name or maybe a logo if you're using your business account. This top one, you see how there's 2 here? This one up here is your Chrome profile. That controls things like your preferences, your passwords if you're saving them in the browser, which is a whole other conversation, your extensions, your bookmarks, your theme, all of that is controlled by your Chrome profile. And I do advocate for having a Chrome profile per account that you toggle to. I'm going down here and I'm saying, okay, now I want to work in this account. So I'm opening that window using this top picture here. I'm going to flip back to my other one. Of course, if I've got them both open, I can use the new shortcut I just showed you, but I'm toggling using this. This bottom one here has to do with which Google account you're in and you're using when you're in Gmail or you're in Docs or you're in your Drive. If these 2 are matching, then you know you've got one profile working with one Google account. For the most part, that's how I recommend using your Chrome browser and working with your Google accounts. There are some use cases where you might sign into more than one here, but I'm going to advocate for thinking this through. If we go to my demo account here, you can see that I am also logged into that same other account. This is really common. People do this. I've got my demo account here and I've got another account here, and I've got both my emails open. And you may find that this is extremely convenient for you because I only have one window and I can check both of my email accounts. The downside is this is my Chrome profile. So these bookmarks are associated with that account. If I'm in this account now checking my email, these bookmarks are not related. If I bookmark something here and then I go to the other Chrome profile, it's going to get all mixed up. The other thing that happens is, this has probably happened to everybody. Somebody shares a Google Doc with you and they said, I shared it with you, and you try to open it. I try to open it from this account and it says request access. That doesn't make sense because they just shared it with me. Why do I have to request access? That's because Google has a dominant account in this browser. Chrome is saying there's a dominant account. When you click on a link of something that somebody shared with you, it's going to try to open it in that dominant account. And if that's not the account you're trying to use it in, I mean, you see what I'm saying? Things get messed up. I strongly encourage people to see the differences, and then you can make a choice for your workflow. But it's just important to understand what's happening here, that you're doing Chrome profile. Down here, you're looking at your Google accounts. And I really prefer to have them matchy so that your bookmarks are relevant, your extensions are relevant. You've got the different colors with the themes, different moods for your different online personalities.
This is a reason why I do have a lot of different windows going on at the same time. One is logged into one thing, one is logged into another. I do try to keep them separate.
I've got a great one for you. In the browser up here, it might say update or finish update or Chrome update or just update. If you see a bubble sitting over here that says anything like update, please click on it and update your browser, because while sometimes that, or often, it's features, the new stuff we have to learn, but also new cool stuff we get to use, a lot of times it's a security update, and it is critical right now that we keep our browsers updated security wise to stay as safe as possible. So please be on the lookout for your security. That wasn't even my tip. That was just like, I can't help but say
Well,
it.
that's a really good tip. Talking about security, Google has Chrome plugins. There's a plugin store. Most stuff is free. We think, oh, these things are vetted by Google, but they aren't. We don't know when we download something and put it in as an extension what the heck it's doing. We could actually be giving them rights to spy on us or do nefarious things, right? Do you have any tips on using the Chrome store?
I'm in the Chrome store right now that you're talking about. These are all extensions that are super powerful. I use the 1Password extension. I use Evernote. There's an Adobe extension. You know, on my business account, I have a ton of extensions, but I don't know what these are. So I might open one up. This one says meditate. Okay, I can meditate anywhere with this, and I can just add it to my Chrome. What I do though is I come over here, I look at how many users are using this. 1,000 users? No thanks. I'm not ready to take that on. If it's 4 million users and the rating is between 4 and 5 star, and it's been around for a long time, I'm going to feel a little more safe using that extension. But as you mentioned, Heather, when you add an extension, it's going to often say some really scary language, like this extension will be able to view the website that you're viewing or your data or your profile information. Think about what the extension's for. It probably needs to have access to that information in order to do what you're asking it to do. There's two sides of this. You don't necessarily need to panic if it's saying it'll have access to your browsing history. That may be what the extension is trying to do, is help you with your browsing history in some way. You do need to read through these, and something like 1,000 users, I just wouldn't install it. That's just me. Go with your comfort level.
That's great to know. There is a representation of a pin where you can turn it on and off.
Let's be real clear about the pins. Pins are whether I want to see them showing here on the browser.
That doesn't turn off the access to it.
No. So I would need to manage the extension and actually disable it. This is just whether I want to see it or not. So you can see I don't have this pin, so it's therefore not visible to me, but it's still working behind the scenes because it's turned on. I could click this to turn it off, to disable it, and I could even remove it if I don't want it anymore.
That's good to know.
And by the way, if you don't have an extension, you won't see this little puzzle piece looking icon that says extensions. There's so many settings in your Chrome. Again, just like I said with Gmail, go to the 3 dots, go to settings, and read all this stuff. If you go through here and read all these settings, you will learn so much about Chrome, not only what it can do, but what you can control. I just want to show you one super tip. On startup here, we've been used to for a long time of either opening a new blank tab when we start Chrome, and we've been used to this, which is use specific set of pages. I want my Chrome to open every single morning with my email and my calendar. Every single morning you can set that so that when you open up your browser, those are the 2 tabs. This one is a little known one, which is continue where you left off. I love this one. I recommend trying it if you're somebody who likes to have a lot of tabs open. We all have a lot of tabs open. Try that. One of my super tips for sure.
Are we moving on to Drive now?
Let me show you something real quick. So if I did best vegan restaurants in Oregon, now let's say I'm just doing a little research because I'm planning my next trip to Oregon, which is true. I'm holding down control, by the way, to open these in new tabs without being disrupted here. Control, and I open a whole bunch of tabs. Okay, I'm I'm doing research. Now, I don't need to bookmark all these things. I've got these tabs here. I'm doing my research for vegan restaurants. I don't want to bookmark these, but I want to save them for a little bit, but they're in my way because I got to do some work. I'm going to click this tab and I'm going to hold down shift and I'm going to select this tab. Now I have selected, it's very subtle. I don't know if you can even see it. I've selected all these tabs. I'm going to right click on one of them and I'm going to say add tabs to group. And I'm going to say new group and I'm going to call this vegan restaurants and we'll make that, I don't know, I already have a green one, so we'll make this purple. Now they just rolled this out. I could just leave it like that. Then I would have, let's see, I'm gonna hit return. So I've got my group here that I can click and it opens, Heather's like, whoa.
That's cool. That's very
open,
cool.
close it, open, close it. But look, it gets even better. I can right click on this and I can say save group. And when I save this group, it's now something that I could hide. It falls right here. You see it? You see it on my browser here now?
Yeah.
I've got it here. And in fact, the hikes here, we'll hide this one too, so you can see. I can go about my day. Let's say, oh, I'm ready to look at the vegan restaurants again. I can just click on this and they open right back up for me. I could then hide it again. I could even say, you know what? Open this in a new window. I just need it all in a new window, super fresh. Okay, and I can hide that again, make that go away. I can close that window and they're right back sitting there. I love this for doing like temporary research on things. You're not permanently bookmarking these things, but you're just grouping them.
I've got a question. So once you close that main browser window, do those groups go away? Are they deleted or do they remain there until you delete them?
Yeah, this remains because I saved it. That's the big difference that they just rolled out, is they allowed for saving. So before you would group them, and then if you close that window, the group would go away.
Oh, I know. One of the things we wanted to talk about was Google Drive. You don't have to have a business account. Everybody has a Google Drive. If you don't have Microsoft Office, it's got a lot of the same tools. You can do presentations. They call it slides.
Sheets is the Excel, I wouldn't say equivalent for
It's
most
pretty
of
darn
it.
close. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Plus there's tons of plugins. Sheets can do almost everything Excel can do if you start adding plugins. Yeah.
Okay.
The good thing, like I said, is you can use all the Microsoft apps like that in Google Drive natively. It doesn't change them necessarily to, like, you can take Word and work on it as a Word doc in Google Drive without changing it to a Google Doc.
Oh, I know. One of the things we wanted to talk about was when you share a file with someone, whoever started that document owned that document, even though their name's on it. As a business owner, I had hired a VA and she started the document. I think I had to make a copy of it. Talk to us about like ownership of these documents.
Heather, this is critical. If you are running a business and you are using Google to support your business, it is critical that you understand who owns your content. And in my opinion, if you're the business owner, you should own all your data. You should own your data. You should own your assets. You should own all of your content. I don't want you to lose it. I just am working with a client right now whose entire contact list got deleted because the admin they were working with was in their account. They owned it and something happened with their account. We don't know what. And the contact list disappeared. I would love for all small business owners to prevent that from happening. My number one suggestion, aside from just making sure you're the owner of every doc that you use, the easiest way to do this is to use shared drives, which brings me to, I want to just give you a little explanation of the difference between a My Drive, a shared drive, and the shared with me, because it's really important to understand the difference between this. Most of the things that you find in your Google My Drive you created, you're the owner. Now, you might have created a folder and then shared that folder with other people and other people put stuff in it. Okay, so it's not 100%. But what you're seeing in your My Drive, you own. In your shared with me, and this is very confusing to folks, but this is all stuff, go to the shared with me here for a second. So this is all stuff that was shared with me by someone else, and it's not sitting in My Drive. Most of the time when people share stuff with us, we go back to our email and we search for the email to try to find the thing the person shared with us, because this is a hot mess. Shared with me is just a long list of everything that's ever been shared with you. You may or may not know that you can add a shortcut. If I want to add this to My Drive, then I can see a shortcut to this item here. and it's a shortcut because it has that little arrow. But this does not protect you. This doesn't make sure that you own your content. Shared with me, all that stuff is owned by someone else. And by the way, you can do an advanced search. I would recommend looking for anybody you're collaborating with, go into the advanced search and search for anything owned by that person. You'll probably be surprised, like, oh, I thought I owned that. That other person owns that. If they leave, they win the lottery, if something happens with their account, you will lose that content. I recommend, if you can afford it, get the next level up on Google Workspace for Business. There's the starter, and then there's standard. It's roughly $12 a month per seat. You will have a shared drive here. What's very different about a shared drive is anything that goes into a shared drive is owned by your business. Anything at all. If your virtual assistant has created a document and you say, okay, make sure you put everything in the shared drive where it goes, it'll transfer ownership from them to you, to your business, to your domain. Everything in the shared drive will always be owned by your domain and never anybody else. That is my strong recommendation for business owners, is to upgrade to that business standard and get your shared drive, which is different than a folder you've shared with a lot of people.
Some stuff shared with me dates back so many years ago. Is there a way to just get rid of it?
You can right click on something and say remove. And you'll notice that it has the trash can, but it has the word remove, because you're not actually deleting it for the person that owns it. The shared with me causes a lot of anxiety for a lot of folks because there's just so much and it goes on forever. One thing I want to point out is anything in the shared with me is not taking up space in your drive because it's owned by someone else and it's taking up space in their drive. You can't organize it. All you can do is remove stuff. Maybe if there's something in there you don't want to look at or see anymore, but otherwise it may not be the best uses of your time because it's really just sitting there.
Very cool. We got to try this stuff out. That's why we need someone like you, Bobby, to help us navigate all the changes and things that are happening. It's really important for business owners. Any last words before we say goodbye?
Thank you so much, Heather, for this opportunity. You know that these topics are so fun to me, and I really appreciate everyone that joined.
Awesome. Bobby, where can people find you?
DigitalDeetz.com.
Thank you, everyone.